we've got our hinge in to our cover. We can set this aside. And we're going to cut pages. So I'm going to cut my cardstock. I'm using the black Artisan. I want 4 that are 8.5 by 8.5 and 4 that are 9.5 by 8.5, and then we'll score them together. So I'm going to cut them real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I cut 4 8.5 by 8.5. Set that aside. 4 9.5 by 8.5. Each one of these, you're going to put your 9.5 in at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch and at 9. Do that on all 4 of your 8.5 by 9.5. So it's the 9.5 in at the top again. Score at a 1/2 inch and at 9. 9.5 in at the top. Score at 1/2 inch and at 9. Last one. 9.5 at the top. Score at a 1/2 inch and at 9. Okay, so we got those scored. I'm going to show you how to put one page together, how to put a base page together. So you have your 2 pieces. You have your 8.5 by 9.5 that you scored a 1/2 inch on each end of the 9.5 side. So you want to fold and burnish that really well. Get that crease in there really good. Both sides. And I glue one side at a time together. This is your 8.5 by 8.5, so this makes a square. So it's going to glue on that hinge piece like that. So I'm just kind of looking at it. Got a couple of them that were off a little bit. But anyway, take glue and put glue on the 1/2 inch with it folded down like this. Oops, too much right there. Okay. Take this piece. Now, if you want to put it in your scoreboard to kind of help you line it up, that's fine. I just kind of eyeball it and push it around. That's why I like to use glue versus Scor-Tape, because I can lift it real quick and slide things around and get it lined up. So burnish that together. So you got one side together. And then I lift it up. Take a look at it here. And put glue on the inside of this hinge here. And then attach it down right here. I'm going to turn it around. I like to stand it up a little bit, line it up side to side or right along the edge of the cut edge to the fold. Okay, that fits good. Burnish. And there's your sleeve page. This is your base page. So we have 4 of these. One side's going to go on your hinge. One side will be open for large matte pages. Now, we're not going to put these in the album right now because we're going to work on each page out of the book. And each one will have just regular flaps or something here on the front. And then when we flip it, it will have some kind of pop-up component here for the magic part of this book. So I'm going to start planning all that and get my measurements and everything figured out that I want to do, and we'll be ready to put that, work on the pages, and then as we get them done, then they will go in here, and we'll need to angle cut our hinges. So that's where we're at, and so I'll start planning on our pages now. On page 1A, on the front of page 1 or page set 1, we're going to make accordion fold page. And so from your cardstock, I've cut one piece that is 7 by 6.5, and I've put the 7 inch at the top, score at a 1/2 inch. This will make the flap that goes on the right of page 1A. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold and burnish that. So that's the flap on the right side. Then you take the larger piece that you would cut, which is a 9.5 by 8.5. And remember, I will have a cutting list for you, a link to my Google Docs that you can open and print up so that you can follow along. So put this 9.5 by 8.5 piece in, put the 9.5 at the top, score at 4.5 and at 9. Now this will make the first section of our accordion fold pages. So I'm going to go ahead and fold these and burnish. The next piece of cardstock is cut at 5 inches by 8.5. Place the 5-inch side in at the top, 5-inch, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So this makes the extension piece on that accordion base pages. It's going to fold out and make it a full accordion. Then we need a pocket, and that is cut at 3.5 by 9.5. So place your 9.5 in at the top. You're going to score at a 1/2 inch on each end. So the 9.5 we're going to score at a 1/2 inch, and the 3.5 we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So 9.5 at a 1/2 inch. Turn to the 3.5 inch side, score at a 1/2 inch. Turn and score the other 9.5 inch end at 1/2 inch. You take your scissors and at an angle, miter cut where the score lines make an intersection on that square. Cut at an angle to miter this. And then go ahead and fold and burnish. And if you need to, after you fold it, you might need to trim away just a little bit more in your miter to get it to lay right. Okay, so I planned my pattern paper that I'm going to use on this front page, or rather page 1A. So I've got those on the side. I'll be giving those to you. So let's put all this together now. So we take our base page. We want the pockets to be opening the sleeve this way, okay? And so I'm going to take this one little flap here, and it's going to glue on the right side down here at the bottom of the page. Now, if you're using paper different than I did, you could put it in the center, the top, whatever you wanted to do, but I'm going to put it down at the bottom so that it matches up with some of my pattern paper that I'm doing. So I'm going to just apply the glue to the folded over back side of your attachment hinge here. See that? And then line up the fold of this along the edge of the page and along the bottom without it sticking over. Just kind of get it straight on all that. Burnish that. Open it up. Burnish on the inside. Okay. Next, we're going to put these on. So the first one that goes on is the double one. And it, of course, fits right here on this side. So put your glue on the back of your hinge, your attachment hinge, like that. Lay it right along the edge. Line it up on the bottom all the way across and the top. Press that down. Up. And burnish on the inside as well. Okay, so the next one, it's going to attach here so that when it folds out, it kind of accordions out. So I'm going to put the glue on the 1/2 inch here. slip in there. Let's see here where it's cut edge, fold of it, lay it down right on top. Line it up, press, and lift that up. Clean up any glue you might have on the inside there. Had a little bit too much glue there. And like that. Okay, so this is going to fold over like this. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the pocket in. So open up the whole thing. And this is something because of the pattern paper that I was planning to use. I decided I wanted a shorter pocket. So I cut off a 1/2 inch. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But just from the top, I cut off a 1/2 inch. Discard that. I wanted to make it a little shorter because I am going to be using the 8x8 papers and I wanted it to fit in a certain way. So the glue goes on the hinges on the back. And we're going to put this at the bottom, right along the fold here on each side. So I'm making sure everything lines up. Okay. Over here a little bit. Whoop. Okay, burnish that in. Fold it up on this side, make sure it still folds. And on that side. Okay, make sure it's lined up. Okay. Okay, so there's our pocket. So this goes in like this. Now we need to plan our magnets. So I'm going to grab, I think, just seeing it though, how that lays there. Okay. So now I need one here to hold this down, and then I'm also going to need one here to hold this back side down. So I'm going to use the small magnets. I have one set here, and I'm going to bring it in about 3/4 of an inch centered here. And I've used that one before on something, so let me grab some Scor-Tape. If you don't have enough sticky on your magnet, just take a piece of tape and lay it between the magnets with the sticky side up. Like that. So there's the sticky side. It's kind of have to get your fingers off of it. Then bring this over, line it up, and press. Then you'll have your magnet there. And I'm going to go ahead and put tape on this side as well. And then here, I'm going to open this and back up. Open this up here on the inside of this. And you also want that about centered about 3/4 of an inch in. And yeah, magnet. So I need tape on that one. Sticky side up. Close it. And there we go. And take your tape again. Okay. And then just kind of press around that magnet where the tape is. Burnish the tape down. Okay, so there's our magnets. Now we're ready to add some patterned paper to everything. For some reason, this one looks crooked to me. Could be that I cut it crooked. I don't know. I'm going to double check everything and see if I need to recut something here. I think I may have scored it wrong. Go with it like that. Straighten it up. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And reburnish on that side there. Okay. I think that was all it needed. Okay, so now we're ready for our patterned paper. So I am going to double mat with green, my colors. I think it's the forest green. And here on the front, I have a piece that's cut at 5 3/4 by 6 3/4, and that's going to mat down right there. And then the patterned paper piece for that is going to be Castle, and from the 8 by 8, so it's going to be like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to put cardstock on the inside. Let me wipe off my temporary glue here. This one's going to go on the inside over the magnet. This one's going to go here. Okay, here on, let's do the inside here. Here at the top, I cut a mat that is, I think it's 8 1/4. Yeah, 8 1/4 by 6. So that's going to go down into there. And this piece from the 8 by 8 is, of course, 8 wide by 6 inches tall, and that's going to go right there. This is why I changed the height of my pocket, just to accommodate the patterned paper. This piece goes here, 8 1/4 by 2 1/4, so that's going to go right there. The bottom of this, 8 wide by 2, like that. Okay. Here on the front, we're going to put the car from another piece of the 8 by 8 paper. I had to use 2 of these. So the matting is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then this is 8 tall by 4. That's the piece there. So when this closes up, this is why I put it on the bottom. It's going to line up with the car here. Okay, so like one continuous piece. Then we're going to open that back up. Then on the inside here where the seam is, another piece the same size is the green is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. It's going to go there. The pattern paper from the other side of where the car was, I think, yeah, is the 4 by 8. So that's going to go over the seam. I want to make sure the seam is covered. And the rest of these are all going to have just the green, which will be great for photo mats, and also depends on my pattern paper I have left later if I want to add anything. So all the rest of these, where it folds out, will have the green like that. Okay, so I'm going to glue all this down, and then we'll be ready to work on the other side. After I got all the papers glued on and then lifted up my page like I was going to turn it, I think the magnet's not going to hold. And this happens in designing sometimes where I'm not real sure. I think it's going to hold enough. This one holds over here. It's this one here that can't hold the heaviness of this. So probably 2 big magnets would work, but what I'm going to do is I don't have a problem with adding ribbon, and so I'm going to show you how to do it after you've already done your pattern paper. So it's good to know it now before things go in the pages go in the book. So I have cut 2 pieces about 18 inches of the black seam binding ribbon, and I crinkled it up a little bit, and then I tied a knot in one end on each one. Okay, so I'm going to take my Scor-Tape and I'm going to put a little bit down, about right here on this side. Peel that up. It's right here on the front. I can't do it because of the sleeve here on the back side. So I take the end that does not have the knot in it, and I'm going to lay it on that tape facing out. Okay? You're thinking, oh, how are you going to cover that? Well, I've got a plan. I always do this, and it adds to the book. It's just a piece of decorating. So I'll put more tape down, and then I'm going to take glue, and I have this little from the 8x8 cut-aparts. It was a circle, and I punched it out with it was a tag, and I punched it out with a 1.5 inch circle punch. Also did it out of a scrap of the cardstock to make it a little bit thicker. And I'm going to just put glue on all of this in the back. Maybe some on the ribbon here to make sure everybody's going to stay where we want it. Let me lift this up. Right here, I'm going to put some glue. Glue will make it stay in place. And then I'm just going to position this right here over that ribbon. Kind of clean that up a little bit. So that's going to just add that little decorative element there. And there's that ribbon there. So then this other piece is going to go on the inside here of this sleeve on the left, because that's going to go in the hinge. So that won't hurt anything, I don't believe. I think it'll work out just fine. Just get it nice and flat in there. So I'm going to put some tape on it. This. And then I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to put some glue on the back of the ribbon, because I do want it to secure in there. String I'm going to cut off. And I'm going to bring this one over so I can see. Lift up my page so I can see in between the sleeve and put it on the front of the sleeve part. Just lining it up. Okay. Now then, I'm going to take a little bit of cardstock, just a scrap. I'm going to put glue on the back of that, and that's what I'm going to secure that on the inside there. Still may have to work with my hinge there, but I don't think it'll be too terribly bad. I'm going to pull that tape backing off. so it doesn't come loose later. Let me grab my pokey tool here so I can reach in there. Sorry if I'm close to the camera here with my hands. There we go. Okay, and my little piece of reinforcement cardstock right on the edge over the ribbon. I'm going to burnish that in really well so it's inside the sleeve part where the hinge is going to go. So it's no problem there. Now then, when I tie this, it's going to help secure that one flap down. I'm going to look at my ribbon, see if I need to trim it off any. I think this one could be tied up just a tiny bit and trimmed off. Don't want them hanging out of the book. Okay, so wrinkle those up. And I like how that looks. It looks good. There we go. Pull that down a little bit. Even it up. So that is how you add ribbon after you've already patterned your page elements. And now we are ready to continue on with 1B on the back side. Okay, for the back of page 1, which is page 1B, so it's going to be the back. And when we're putting this together, let's make sure we don't do this upside down, okay? So you're going to cut one piece 8.5 by 8 3/4, a piece that's 4 1/4 by 10 1/4, one piece 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, one piece 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. What did I say on this one? This one is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, two pieces 2.5 by 2.5, and two that are 2 by 5.5. So let's score these right quick. Okay, let's start with the big one. This is our flap. So what we're going to make is, I have a prototype here. That one. This one. This is going to be a pop-up. This, of course, is not the full size back here, but this is the element that we're going to be doing here in the middle. See all that? It's been a while since I've done this. I've did this one as a practice, so I hope that I can show you how to do it without messing up. Okay. The 8.5 by 8 3/4, put your 8 3/4 at the top. We're going to score it 1/2 inch. Okay. Your 4 1/4 by 10 1/4. We're going to score the 10 1/4 side at 3 1/4. 6 1/2, and 9 3/4. The 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece, we don't score. Your 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, we're going to score once on each side, but we do it in an L shape, what I call an L shape. So we put one in at the top, score it 1/2 inch, turn it so that the score line's at the top, score at 1/2 inch. That gives us an L shape of our score line. Okay. 2 2.5 by 2.5, and we're going to do the same thing, the 1/2 inch L shaped score. So put your 2.5 in at the top, make a score at 1/2 inch, turn so your score line is at the top, score at 1/2 inch. Same with the other piece, score at 1/2 inch, turn, put your score line at the top, score at 1/2 inch. And we have score lines that intersect like an L shape. And then we have the two 5.5 by 5.5, no scoring on those. So let's go ahead and take our pieces and fold our score lines and burnish those. Gonna wait on these. This one doesn't have one, and then this has this. Okay. So now we have all that. I'm going to move these out of the way. And we're ready to try to assemble this. First thing we're going to do, so we don't lose some of our pieces, we're going to take this one that we folded up, and we're going to take our other little 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece, and it's going to glue right here on this 1/2 inch section. So just put your glue on there. Attach this down, make sure it's lined up with the fold line and the top and bottom. Get it on there as straight as you can and burnish. Okay, so we'll let that dry, and that gives us our photo pop-up element piece. Next, let's take this page flap. Now then, this is your page 1A and 1B. So take your page, look at it, make sure everything's the right direction, and flip it over. And this one is going to attach right here to the left side. And I cut this so that we have a little bit of a margin here from the hinge side, so it's easier to flip up, and that you can see there's a extension there. So turn this over where your 1/2 inch attachment hinges and add your glue. And then fold of this lines up with the left side of page 1B. Make sure you get it on straight. Line up the bottom and the top. Push it just, there we go. Okay, once it's lined up, go ahead and burnish it. And that's our flap there. I'm going to burnish it here on the inside. Make sure I've got all my glue pushed out. And then I'm going to double check it. Make sure it's still lined up. Okay, so there's that flap for that page. This is where our element's going to fit inside here. So let's set this aside, and then we're going to work on these next. Okay, so here for our 4 1/4 piece, the square where we scored here and here like an L, we're going to take this with this score line here at the bottom, this one on the left, and I'm going to bring the points together like a triangle. Line this up, press down in the center, make sure it lines up, hold that really tight, press out. I find this easier for me to fold like this rather than trying to score it on my scoreboard there at this angle. Just making sure it's straight as it can be. So open it up. Then I'm going to fold these like this. These are the 1/2 inch ones, so I can see where they come together. Okay, so we have that. And we're going to cut out this little square here at the very tip. Let me show you. See that right there? See that line there in the little square? So cut that out. Now we have it looking like that. Next, we're going to either take a ruler or our scissors, think I'll take a ruler here and my craft knife, and from this corner to this corner, line up your ruler and just slice off this part here opposite of where we have our notch. Okay, so now we have that. We don't need this, discard this. So this is going to be our piece down underneath. And then when we have it like this, we also need to miter off these points here like this. So it looks like this now. Okay, so this is what's going to attach in here for our pop-up. So let's work on the next pieces to get it all together. It's really easy to make. Sometimes I forget how to do it, and then I have to kind of refresh myself if you haven't made it in a while. So now we're going to go ahead and grab our two little 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares that we've already scored, and they look like that. It's also got the L scoring there. For each one of these, you're going to fold again from this 1/2 inch section and this one here, this corner to this one. Just fold it up, line them up, get your points there, burnish that down. Just like that. Now we're not cutting this one up. The only thing we're going to do is take our scissors and we're going to miter right there, and then we're going to fold our 1/2 inch so we have something that looks like that on this side with the 2 halves in the center here. Okay, so do the other one the same way. You're going to fold from this 1/2 inch and this 1/2 inch score line, make a triangle out of that. Artisan cardstock's really heavy duty, and it just sometimes doesn't want to fold in a different way, but go ahead and work at it. Just get it folded and then score that line. And then when your corner is down here, instead of cutting the corner out, I'm just going to cut straight across like that. Then I fold my score lines in of the 1/2 inch each side, and now I have two pieces like this. Okay, so on this piece I refolded it so that this 1/2 inch seam is on the back side. You want it to be like this. You want the center one coming up, the two here going down. So it looks like this. The fold one's on the back. So this is the front. Make sure that seam, is on the back. So you have looking like that. Okay, so before we assemble our pop-up, we need to put our pattern paper down, and I'm matting this on the inside. So this is the flaps. Remember, this one is smaller in the width, so you've got to trim it down. So I did use a full 8x8 sheet here and 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 for my matting, and I'm using my colors in the Sunglow color. So I'm going to put that right there. And this one I cut down to the 8 tall, but 7 3/4 wide. So this is 8 1/4 tall and 8 wide, so that it fits here. Now you also need to put your magnets on. So I've already done that. I used 2 sets of small. I put them here on the flap first, and then the opposite side right there. That will keep this closed in the album once we have our pop-up in. So let's go ahead and attach our mats. So you need to pull your tape backing off of your magnets, if that's what you used, or you could use gift wrap tape, you know, this clear Scotch tape. Instead, if you wanted to, make sure this is the right one. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put glue on the back, and again, this is the Sunglow in the My Colors that you can get from Country Craft Creations. It is textured, but I'm using the smooth side facing up. It really doesn't matter when it's a mat like this because you can't see that much of it anyway, but put a little glue on this. Make sure it sticks. And let's place this down. Pretty even, get it as straight as I can. Okay, finish it down. Especially around those magnets. And the other side. So we haven't done the outside of the flap yet. And since I have the flap on, I know that I've got this turned the right direction because my flap is to the left. So I totally started recording and forgot to put my headset on or my microphone on. So what I'm doing, you have to, before you add your pop-up element, you've got to mat and add your pattern paper to the inside of your page here, to the flap. First, I put my magnets on, so I put 2 small ones on this flap over here, and then the opposing magnets are on the opposite side. This is already glued down, but I'm using the My Color Sunglow in the yellow color. On this side, it is cut at 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then I used an 8 by 8 from the 8 by 8 pad of this pattern. This one is not as wide, so you have to trim it down. So it's 8 1/4 tall, but 8 wide on the yellow. And then this is, of course, 8 tall, and then I trimmed a 1/4 inch off, so it's 7 3/4 wide. So pull the backings off of your magnets, or you can use regular tape if you wanted to on those. I'm going to add just a little glue to the magnets. And then glue on the back of my cardstock, My Colors in the Sunglow color for this page component back here. Okay, and glue. Okay, so stick this one down, line it up. And burnish. Make sure you burnish around the magnets really good. Get that paper stuck down. Here I need a little bit of glue, kind of on this edge right here. Didn't get it. There we go. So press that down and get that stuck down. Okay, so now we have that patterned. So as you can see, here's the correct direction here, flipped over. This side I haven't done yet. You can see just a little bit of that color there from that side, so you know to lift that up. So take this piece that we just trimmed out and cut and put glue on both halves of the 1/2 inch hinges, which folded on the back. You want the fold coming up here in the center. So we're going to take this on our page and we're going to line up at the top, this right at the top here, and make sure that we're putting the fold of this piece on the fold of the page and flap here. And we're going to burnish that down. Clean up any glue. So you see I've got it up here at the top. Make sure it's the top of the page and lined up right here on that fold. Wipe off any glue that you might get on there. Make sure it is burnishing down. Okay, let's let that dry for just a second. So once it's good and dry, we can fold this up, and you see it will lift up here in the center like that. Okay, so that's what you want. Press that down really good. You want it to be able to, oops, pop in and out like that. So it goes to the inside. So that's what we want on that part. So now we're ready to put the next piece of our component on, which is these little squares. So you're going to have to turn them so that the fold in the middle is going up. This left side, we want the 1/2 inch flap here on the right and on the bottom going under, and this going up, your fold going this way. And this side, you want your 1/2 inch here on the left, here on the bottom, with your fold coming up, but in a diagonal like this. So it's going to, that fold's going to line up with this piece here. So let's do this side first. We're going to put the glue on our 1/2 inch hinges back here. We're working on the left side first. So when you turn it over, you see your fold is going to line up at the top with this on the component here and this hinge on the page. Okay, so burnish those down so that they'll stick good. So they're lined up here, stuck down right here, stuck down right here on the bottom. Same with this, and we're going to turn it over. Put your glue on your 1/2 inch hinges on the back side here where it's folded down. Okay, flip it over. Now we've got the fold that's coming up like that. We got it going at a diagonal with this fold of this piece. We're going to push this up. Wipe off any of that glue. I kind of get it kind of messy here. Okay, so that it's squared here at the top. So that makes this 1/2 inch stick to the center here, and this one down onto the page, and burnish. Make sure they stay. I burnish so hard that they move. Okay, so now this piece here is stuck here, 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 here. This hinge is on the component here. These are on the page, so let's let those dry. Okay, so remember we had the two pieces that we didn't score anything that were cut to 2 inch by 5.5. We had two of them, but I want these a little thicker. If you had a 110-pound cardstock for just these two pieces, that would work fine. So I cut two more though, because I did not. I cut two more the same size, and I'm going to glue two together because this is the pop-up bones, I guess you would say, and we want it to be really strong. So I apologize that I didn't have you cut this at first, but just grab some scraps. You should have some pieces that you can cut that from, and just line those up. So that's 2 inches by 5.5, and burnish those together. Second one's a little off, but that's okay as long as I have the full 2 inch by 5.5 there. So let's glue this one together as well. And then we're ready to glue it onto our mechanism that's on the page. And I want to show you how this is working once it's dried. Okay, so we line these up. It's 2 inch, yeah. Burnish. Sorry, I'm off camera with that one, but I burnished it together. Okay, so set those aside for a minute. So these are dried, so when you fold this up, you can see how that folds down and in, just like it's supposed to. Yay. Okay, I hope I've made it clear for you to understand. So let's take one of these. You want to put glue on this left piece just on the top triangle. Don't go over the fold. So I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can see it a little better. So right here on the triangle, right along the fold, just on your triangle, sure we don't go over. Okay. This now is going to line up here, and it's just gluing on to that top right corner of that mechanism. So this makes a wing. We're going to do the same thing on this one. This one on the left, the very top, only the triangle part. Put your glue on up to the fold. Take the second one, same thing, going to line it up right along the top. Burnish that down. And we're going to let those dry. Okay. We're getting there, so let that dry. Making sure they're straight. Okay. All right. I'm going to let those dry. Okay, so now that this is dried, if you close it up, you'll see that it fits in to the section of the book. See, folds come, the wings come this way. Now, we're ready for this. So I'm just taking a look. I'm going to make sure before I glue everything. I'm just going to, so I know I just glued this part. This goes here. I'm just talking to myself. Okay, I'm going to put temporary here so I can check it. Lines up there. Oops, nope, lines up that way. This has got to stay in the center. Fold that back. I've got some temporary here to check it out. Okay, there we go. Got to make it so that when it folds up, everything is going to stay inside. So now we're ready to permanently put it in. So let me take it off. Okay. This is how we do it. See your fold line here in the middle? See this fold line here of this one that's coming up? We're going to make sure that is lined up right there. Okay? Line it up. You're going to line up this whole piece here with the bottom edge of this one. Okay, so once you have that lined up, this is really important right here, this lined up. Hold that with your finger. Fold this one back. You're going to put glue. Make sure everything stays where it belongs. Glue goes on this one here. I'm going to put it down and then I'll show you so you make sure you understand. Glue on this wing here. This is folded back. Hold it down, make sure she's staying lined up. Press this one down. Let's burnish it. All right. So we still have this fold here on this fold. We're going to line this up. We're going to fold this one back. We're going to put our glue on the left wing. Open it up, press it down, make sure it stays lined up, burnish. Okay, we're going to let that dry, and then everything should fold up once it's dry. So don't be folding it up until it's dry good, okay? Okay, so now we're ready for the moment. If it feels like it's not going to fold, lift up your page like this so that it folds down. Everything's contained within the page. Your album, when you open it up, Ta-da! And down. Love it. Okay, let's see how our magnets hold. Yep, they're holding. Okay, so for now I'm going to cut some mats, I think, out of the yellow. I'm not sure if I'll do pattern paper on this or not, but I'm going to cut the mats for this, 4 of them, and glue those on. So there they are with the photo mats on, so you can just leave them like that. If you wanted to put these on before you attach this piece onto your mechanism, you certainly could if it made it easier, but I just flattened it down and glued them all on. And then I brought it back up so that it would close properly. There we go. So that is page 1B, and I need to put something here on the front, so I'll do that real quick, show you what I put on there, and then we'll move on to page 2A. Okay, so there it is. I chose this one, the Quidditch paper on the 8x8. Of course, remember this is a smaller size, so the red, I used the firecracker red on this one. It is 8 wide by 8 1/4 tall on the red. Pattern paper is an 8x8 sheet, but it's cut 8. It's left at the 8 tall and cut down to 7 3/4 wide. So this is page set 1. This is 1A, 1B, and we're ready to move on to page set 2.